What's your name?
My name's Thomas.
What school do you go to?
I go to TCAT in London.
All right. First question. When did you first start noticing technology being used in a harmful way in your life?
So I would say about maybe a year or two ago, I realized that I'm on my phone way too much. Definitely just in the middle of class or such, I feel like the need to get my phone out and to just check the notifications and just to scroll on TikTok and look over. And yeah, just as soon as I get on TikTok, I'm just on there for a good 3 to 4 hours, throughout the day, each day. And yeah, just after a few days, I looked at my screen time, and it's just way too much, way too many hours on each app. And yeah, I realized it's a big problem.
How would you define tech abuse based on your personal experience?
So there are many different ways of people using online for bad stuff. For example, people who are predators and act as childs to learn other childs online. And yeah, just people bad mouthing online because they feel like it's okay. And it's way easier to bad mouth people online than it is in person. So it just yeah, lately you just see people doing that everywhere. And it's just bad.
Can you share examples of how technology was used against you in a way that felt abusive?
So, with one of my exes that I've known for about a year, she was wanting to look at my location. She got into a point where she wanted to look at my location and see where I was going and the people I was hanging out with. And yeah, I would just hang out with some of my friends, and then she'd be going around asking me who I'm hanging out with and such. And one day she followed me around when I was with my friends because she thought I was hanging out with another girl or something. And yeah, it just really toxic in a bad way, confusing it.
How did this experience affect your sense of safety and privacy?
So with my ex-girlfriend kind of stalking me wherever I went, it made me kind of just self-conscious about the people I hang out with and make it feel like it's I have to be careful who I hang out with because it could upset her. And yeah, I just couldn't really freely hang out with my friends as I wanted to. I had to consider her thoughts because she'd keep looking at my location and seeing who I'm hanging out with and just being really nosy. And yeah, it just made me a lot more self-conscious.
If someone else were facing a similar situation, what advice would you give them?
I would tell them to kind of just think about the situation and how it's being harmful to them. And in the moment, it feels like it's completely fine. Yeah, that's just a relationship. It's alright. But actually, it shouldn't be like that. It's toxic. And kind of just to reflect on it.
Go.
And yeah, just kind of watch out who you're talking to. Because people online, you can't really trust them. There's a lot of just random and bad people out there. So you have to be careful.
Have you changed the way you use technology because of this experience? If so, how?
Yeah, I've kind of just monitored how much I use my phone. Lately, I've just been looking at my screen time, making sure I set certain timestamps and how much I can be on my phone. So it not an unhealthy amount being on my phone. So I just keep records and make sure that I don't stay on my phone for the whole day and make sure I do productive stuff. And yeah, just make sure I do stuff.
What's your name?
My name is Aaron Apple,
And what school do you go to?
Tennessee Technological University.
All right. Now, can you describe your typical technology use?
Well, I use it pretty often because I have to check my emails very frequently with student government and stuff like that, as well as keeping updates on classes because pretty much every class that we use nowadays, we have to use a lot of technology for it. And let's Let's see, in terms of recreational, I still play a lot of video games from time to time. I've got a PlayStation that I play on, Nintendo Switch, stuff like that, and I still use my phone and everything to watch movies, shows, and the sort.
All right. When did you first realize that your technology use might be problematic?
When I was in junior high, I got my phone for the first time, and it was a smartphone. And it was very difficult for me to control my urges on it. Like, as soon as I would sit down, I'd be like, oh shoot, I'm gonna scroll YouTube for the next 6 hours. And that was really when it started getting out of control, and I didn't start getting better till around sophomore year of high school.
What do you think triggers your urge to use technology excessively?
Like I said in the last question, it's pretty much whenever I sit down and do not feel stimulated enough, essentially, to where I start feeling bored and I'm like, oh well, I'm gonna go do something. I'm gonna go do something productive now. Something like that.
How has technology overuse impacted your personal relationships?
Well, around that time that I got really addicted to it, I started pushing a lot of people away. I didn't talk to as many people, and if I did talk to people, of course it was over the phone. So it felt like I did push a lot of people away, and a lot of friends that I did have at one point I didn't become friends with anymore because they weren't as addicted as I was to it. So it has affected my relationships, but as I've stopped using it as much, I've gotten a lot closer with people personally and in-person relationships.
Feel that it has affected like your work or your studies and like your mental health or physical?
Yes, it has. In terms of, now I didn't get a job till I was 16, so that was after the fact. Now in terms of studies, my grades did drop while I was addicted to everything. Now granted, it was only a couple points, but in the grand, like when I came home and my dad saw that report card, he's like, hey, what's going on here? So it did start affecting stuff like that, and in a way it did affect my relationship with my parents. And because of that, it was not good to my mental health. It was very bad to my mental health. I started feeling a lot worse. I had a lot more depressive episodes around that time, and it felt like I was so lonely yet so connected to everybody at the same time.
How do you feel about your technology habits?
Let's see, now they're a lot better.
Okay.
I usually, let's see, I check my email about 3 times a day, and I'll play video game for maybe an hour to 2 hours a day, which if I get time to. And let's see, the only time I'm ever on my computer really is if I'm doing schoolwork or extracurricular work, or I'm playing Sims 4. But let's see, I've gotten a lot better now, and I'll watch shows and stuff on my phone, like I mentioned earlier. But it's a lot better from what it used to do. Like I'm cutting 6 hours to 2 hours essentially. So that's 4 hours of productive time that I could be doing a lot better stuff.
How did you first try to reduce your technology use? And what strategies has worked and what didn't?
Let's see. The first time was I started realizing it was out of control, and the first thing I did was I put my charger port for my phone. I put it on the opposite side of the room. That way, when I went to lay down, I didn't just have it on hand. I'd have to get up and go get it. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. I'm too lazy. So I just sit down, and if I wanted to get up, I'd be like, okay, now I'm up. I better might as well do something. And that worked for the longest time. And in terms of stuff that didn't work, let's see. I haven't experimented enough to find anything that really didn't work, but I mainly just tried that one strategy, and that helped me the most.
Man, that was a pretty good strategy then. Thank you for your time.